What a joker.
What are my setups when I'm on the kayak? Wait! Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Take two.
Flea.
Take three.
The end of all. Me. This is the. Ahoy.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Welcome back.
And I'm back with another one.
Basically, fishing has been non-existent for me over the past probably 5 weeks. I've been out twice.
Boo this man!
Reason being, I got a new kayak. She's a sexy bit of gear, I tell you.
Yeah.
Traded the old kayak in. So I was off the water for about 2 or 3 weeks for that. And then the weather hasn't played ball. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to answer, which would probably be my #1 question on social media. Close second, followed by how many cats can you fit into your fish hatch? One question I do get a lot, how many cats can you actually fit in there? There's one. If you want to know, check out my last video. Fully explained in there. The question is, what am I fishing with? What are my fishing setups? So I thought I'd go through what rods, reels, leader and braid I'm using. I'll explain why I use those particular reels and rods. And so rightio, we'll get into it. This is my first setup. This is my spin setup. I previously used to use it as my live bait rod, and then I would chuck slugs or soft plastics if I was fishing those. This is an extreme tackle, so an XT Tavia. The rod is 7 foot, it's a one piece with a line class of 12 to 25 pounds. Now I've paired this with a 4500 Pen Slammer 3. I love the slammers. The main reason I use these reels is they've got an IPX6 water rating. So they're basically a sealed unit. I've dunked this thing multiple times under the water. Obviously not intentionally, but things like that happen on the kayak. These things get splashed constantly while you're paddling, and I've never ever had an issue. It still spins like new. One of the main awesome features with this particular reel, given it's a small reel, it's got 13.1 kg of drag, which is crazy for the size of the reel. I've paired it up with 30-pound Taz line. I use Taz line on almost all my reels. Awesome stuff. The Taz line is nice and thin as well. It's 0.229 of a millimeter, so nice and thin. But with this 30 pound, it has an average breaking strain of 49 pounds. You're basically fishing with 50-pound braid at that nice thin line measurement. With regards to how much line capacity you can fit on this, with the 4500, about 230 meters of 30-pound braid. So depending on what particular braid you purchase, it might be thinner, might be thicker, you'll get a little bit more or a little bit less. That is my spin setup. All right, my next setup, I've got a Shimano Type N. Now this is, the actual model is a 701 SSL, and the line class is a 6 to 8 kilos. Great rod, nice and flexible tip. It's got the nice, clear, really sensible tip, which I really like when you're trolling dead baits. I've paired this one up with a 5500 Spin Fisher V. Great reel. I don't know if they even sell them anymore. They're not as sealed as the Slammer 3s. Still pretty good, but yeah, not as good as those ones. Now I think the drag is pretty similar to what the Slammer 3 has, around about that 13-14 kilo mark. I've actually, this is the reel that I caught my Wahoo on. So that Wahoo was close to 24 kilo, and this thing handled it fine. This is also paired with 30-pound Taz line, and generally I'll run a 30 or 40-pound Black Magic leader. Line capacity on this thing, with your 30-pound, you can get around about 390 meters. I've never had an issue with the amount of line on there. I guess for people who are fishing deeper water, I'm generally fishing in 30, 40 meters of water. I'm not going to have an issue with that, but should something like a big Who or something like that take a decent 300 meter run, then I might be in trouble, but hasn't happened yet. There's no reason why I chose the Shimano rod, purely for the fact that they're on special when I went into the tackle store. They were the right price.
Sold to the small man with the runny nose.
They were 7 foot and they fit in the kayak, which is the main thing I was looking for. Dogs. Reel has held up pretty good. This is the second season I've used this, and it's copped a flogging with being bashed around in the ski, plus getting water splashed on it. It does get a little bit stiff from time to time, but just kind of force it through and then she's all good.
That's what she said.
It's caught some good fish on it. It's got a Wahoo to its name, so for an 8 to 10 kilo class rod, and something that's got around about 13 to 14 kilos of drag to bring in a 24 kilo hoo. Yeah, I think it's about way above its average. Now my third setup looks very, very similar to the last one with regards to the rod. This is a Shimano Taipan again. This is a 701 snapper. This is the medium line class, 6 to 10 kilos. So a little bit heavier than the last one. It still has that nice sensitive tip. And this one has been paired with the 5500 Pen Slammer 3. Now the crazy thing about the 5500 Slammer is the drag. They have 18.1 kg of drag on these things. So you've got some serious hurt if you need to crank down on fish. They sound good as well when they're all loaded up. Oh, here we go, here we go. Oh, we're calling tuna here or what? Holy f. Holy f. This is also paired 30 pound. You'll probably notice that three of my rods are all with 30 pound. Once again, yeah, I think this has got a 40 pound leader on it. Line capacity for the 5500, you get about 350 meters of 30 pound braid. And as I said before, depending on what braid you've got, you might be able to get a bit more, get a bit less. So the Slammer and the Spin Fisher, they are the ones that I'll take out generally every time I go fishing. They're the ones that I'll always be trolling dead baits, always be trolling liveys with. Sometimes I might not take the other spin rod out with the 4500 on there. It just depends on what I feel like I'm fishing with. I always used to take that 4500 out there. I was using that to drop for liveys, but now I've got a dedicated livey rod, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, now we come to the rod that has probably saved my backside from getting tangle after tangle using those bloody bait jigs.
What a joker.
This is the main reason why I did get this. So this is the Jarvis Walker Sabiki. Now you would have seen me use this in my videos. This is my dedicated live bait rod. This rod is 2.2 meters long. I actually had to cut down the butt because it wouldn't fit in my last kayak. So I took about 6 or 7 inches off the bottom of that, just so I'd fit in there. And this is paired up with a bait caster. Now this is just a cheapo bait caster, just got online. It's a Fish Drops or something. It was like 40, 50 bucks. These particular rods work better with either a bait caster or an overhead setup. I originally did have it with a little 2,500 spin reel on there, but where the line comes out and goes in, it just wasn't working. So bait caster works well for it. With respects to its usability, yeah, it does help. You do still manage to get the bait jigs getting caught in the tip of it. The hooks do still get caught as they're coming into the end of the funnel. I think there is a second version of this. I think one of the boys has got one of those and says it works a lot better, but they're really hard to find, so I'll use this one. It does get me out of trouble. Just the main issue is when you're pulling it out of the hatch, the bait jigs get caught on everything, as well as when you're trying to put it away, as you would have seen in my one of my other vids. Not gonna get tangled up on everything. Oh, oh no. Can do your bloody head in sometimes with that thing, but I don't have to worry about it now at the moment. Bait jig sits inside there. Just grab it out, drop it down, and away you go. I think I've just got this thing with some cheap braid from online as well. I think I've got about 6 or 8 kilo braid, and I think I've just got like a normal 20 pound lead. It's a cheap setup. The rod's about 50, 60 bucks, and the reel's about 40 bucks. I don't know how long it's going to last, given the fact that it's not a sealed unit. The people who are maybe asking should they get themselves one, especially in the kayaks, I think it's a good idea. It's all dependent how much gear you want to carry out there. Like with the Stealth, you can easily fit 4 rods in there, so if it's going to minimize tangles and get me fishing out quicker, yeah, I think it's a good idea. This is the latest rod in my arsenal. As you can see, this hasn't been used. The price tag's still on it. This is the Ugly Stick Platinum, 6'9", and it's rated to 6 to 10 kilo. I don't even have a reel for this. I've heard good things about the Ugly Sticks, which is the reason why I got one. It's got that nice sensitive tip, but it's got plenty of grunt down here. I'll figure out what kind of reel I'm going to use with that, but for now it's probably just going to sit in the garage and collect dust. As I mentioned earlier, I used a Black Magic leader. Got the 30 and 40 pound here. I think it's good stuff. I've never had an issue with the leader. At the end of all my leaders, I connect these Mustard Fast Dash clips. They're awesome for clipping rigs on and off, especially out in the water. You don't want to be cutting lines and retying rigs out there, so these things just clip on, clip off in seconds. The ones I use, they're 50 pound, 28 kilo.
You fast.
So if you haven't used them before, give them a crack. Alright, that's basically it for me. If you do have any questions about anything else that I may have missed or haven't covered, just chuck it down in the comments. And hopefully I manage to get back out in the water and get some fish. We'll also do a video on the new kayak and what I've done to that as well, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.